really seeing it until I had a moment where faith stepped in. So not understanding is not believing for some, but not understanding is believing for others. I hope, and my prayer for you is that in not understanding what's happening in your life, it actually will initiate faith in your life. It will actually give you this sense of awe and wonder about life that, you know what, it makes it more fun. I don't know about you, but it makes it more fun sometimes when you don't believing when it doesn't make any sense to believe. That's what faith looks like. Our logic is illogical to God. God's logic is what's illogical and foolishness to us. That's how it works. It's depressing for some people, but it's the truth. Our lives are surrounded with mystery on every level, but if we can embrace it, we can mature through it. When I went to China for the first time last May, and I fell in love with the Chinese people, but there were some things that I saw that were very different. Anybody ever been to China? I'm talking about like on the airplane. I've been on a lot of airplanes. I've flown around the world. I've been on a lot of airplanes, and I've never seen what I saw on this airplane going to China. There was literally, I was in like an exit row. I was in like I had a little bit bigger of a section near the exit because, the plane's going down, I'm jumping out. So I'm always trying, and not really, but anyway, so I was sitting on the exit row, and there's a bunch of people, no joke, they're doing like yoga stretching in front of me. I'm like 3 to 4 feet, like there's like a wall here, and there's guys like they're literally like doing yoga for upward dog, downward dog, right in front of me. Now, I get it's a long flight. It's a long, so they're stretching, right? They're getting the blood flowing. But I'm like, God, like seriously, guys, like I'm like 3 feet away from me. I'm sitting there. I'm like super distracted. These guys' butts are all on my face. They're doing stretching. They're contorting their bodies in weird ways. And I get it. To me, that was like a mystery, man. Like, what do you like socially, this is not weird for you? Like, I just wouldn't do that. I'm start getting over here, like, hey, you like that? Like, I'm not going to do that. But I just say, hey, well, this is China. I'm embracing it. I'm going to mature through this mystery called yoga on the plane. I'm just going to mature through it. I'm not going to let it bother me. And honestly, I fell more in love with the Chinese people. Just the quirkiness, like the way they are. I love the Chinese people. I don't know if you have any Chinese people in the house. Do we? I love you if you're here. I love you. But these mysteries, these things that happen that we don't understand, we can either kind of move from it or move into it by saying, hey, I don't know about this, but I think this is kind of cool. It makes me fall more in love with these people. These mysteries along the way, it's huge. It's a massive, massive thing. And the biggest question I feel like that all of us are asking is, why is this happening? When we should be asking the question, what is happening on the inside of me? What, like, okay, there's a mystery right now. I don't get this. Some of you have stuff going on right now you don't understand. It's the same old thing, routine. You're back on the same mountain. You don't get it. Instead of asking, why does this keep happening? Or why is this not happening after I believe it was supposed to happen? Instead of asking that question, ask, what is happening on the inside of me? Because the battle always is won on the inside before it's won on the outside. So the better question to ask when mystery comes your way in life is not why it's happening, but what is happening inside of me? How can I mature through it? Not how is it going to move me out, move me away, get me sidetracked. How can I grow up through it? That's the better question to be asking God. Let's go to Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11, verse 1, kind of part of our backdrop for this whole series. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Hoped for. Everyone say hoped for. See, faith is the substance. It is the very energy behind hope. You have no hope in a season because you've lost faith. And if you've lost faith, you'll have a hard time loving yourself and the process. Faith, hope, and love. These three things will always remain. They're pillars of our life. Faith, hope, and love. Hebrews 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is why faith is so important. Like I said, without faith, there is no hope. But when hope has a hold on you, it allows you to mature through all the things you don't understand in life. Once again, I'm repeating myself, it gives you a starting point. Hope is a reflection of faith. Hope is needed when mystery is most present. I heard someone say that hope is the joyful anticipation of good. The joyful anticipation of good. Not the depressing anticipation of what is good, if that even could work. It's the joyful anticipation of what's good. Hope looks like an anticipation, an expectation that is energized by the substance of faith in our lives. That ultimately is a gift from God. The maturation process begins when hope has a hold on you. How many want to mature? How many want to grow up? I want to give you a few things that I believe will help you. I want to outline a few key truths today regarding hope and what it does for us when it has us. Because I believe that God wants to have you wrapped up in hope before you leave today. He wants to restore lost hope to you today. He wants to restore this. It's not just a feeling, but we love when the feeling comes. Come on, let's just be honest, right? It's not a feeling, but we love when the feeling comes. And we want that energy to come back where we've lost it. We don't even want to talk about some things because they're sore spots. They're no-go zones. How many know some people with some no-go zones? Those no-go zones are probably there because they lost hope. Hopelessness has replaced hope. Hopelessness is ruling and reigning in that area. And so they don't want to talk about it because it reminds them of the failure. It reminds them of the hopelessness, the discouragement, and disappointment. Because all of those things look like mystery in our life. Things we can't explain. So if we can't explain it away, we don't want to talk about it. Right? If you can't explain why or what is happening through the issue that you're facing or the issue that never happened or should have happened or whatever, if you can't explain it away, then you just don't want to talk about it because really you have no answers. And every one of us wants answers. But sometimes the best answer is not having an answer at all and standing strong, maturing through process, maturing through mystery. Let me say it like this. It begins to make sense that it doesn't make sense. All of a sudden, if you want to know the sign of hope having you, all of a sudden, it begins to make sense in your life because you realize it doesn't make sense. So you have a sense of God, that God is doing something. And even if you can't put your finger on what God is trying to do in you and through you, it keeps you stable and solid through the process because you know you're growing, you're maturing through mystery. Write this down, number one. Hope will help you. Hope will help you. Zechariah, kind of an obscure scripture. And in this context, I'm just going to brief you on the context. You know, you got to understand the nation of Israel has had it through, they've been through the ringer. They were in captivity for a little over 70 years in Babylon. The Babylonians came in and took a whole bunch of people captive and into slavery, put them into a place of bondage and oppression for almost over 70 years, a whole generation and a half. A whole generation died off, and they took their livelihood, took everything from them, all that they knew. They had this amazing baller temple, full of gold, $54 billion church building. In our money, in this time, if we were to kind of connect it to now, what it would be worth. $54 billion church building. It's a nice church. You'd probably be in there with your your little tools, chipping away at the gold, putting it in your pocket. Yeah. I'm going to church. I'm not giving. I'm taking from church today. Anyways, so this Solomon had this beautiful building, and it was the livelihood of the spiritual equity and relationship that Israel had with God. They really connected their spirituality through the temple, and it represented how awesome God was, and they had it all taken from them. It was torn down, it was beat up, it was destroyed. They had a major loss. How many have gone through some sort of loss? It's mysterious, right? It's like, why did that happen? I just don't understand. Maybe God warned you of the loss before it happened, but you're still like, why? What are you doing? All that, we spent all these years building this epic building. all this time at this building, and then Costco comes in and tears down the building, kicks you out of the building, It's like the Babylonians, represent Costco. Come in, they get out of Ogilvy, we don't like you. I'm just joking. No, we're thankful. Mystery is a mystery at Carlton. Kalish, I can't even say it. Kalish Metal Theater. Hey, it's the mystery, but we love it. It's the season. It's okay. We're going to embrace it. We're going to mature in the process. So this is the context. As for you also, Zechariah 9 verse 11, because of the blood of your covenant, I will set your prisoners free. Because of relationship. Let's read it like that. Because of relationship. In that context, back then, Israel was always having to make sacrifice to ratify and reconnect the covenant that kept being broken on their end through their disobedience and rebellion. But because there was a covenant back from the time of Abram, it continued on throughout the generations. And listen, I am always going to have a relationship with this nation of Israel. And even though they're going to go through ups and downs, they're going to have bad times and good times, I'm still there. I'm still with you. Even in your ups, I'm with you. And even in your downs, I'm with you. And when you feel like you're in the nothing zone of purgatory that doesn't even exist, I'm still with you. Even in the gray zones, when you're in the middle, I'm still with you. That's the goodness of God. So he's speaking about this, and he's speaking in a time. It's like a prophetic picture of the time of you've been in captivity, you've been hopeless. You have every reason to give up hope. You have every reason to not have hope. This is where you've lived for over 70 years. I mean, everything sucks around you. You've lost it all. But now something's beginning to reawaken in their lives again. As for you also, because of the blood of your covenant, I will set your prisoners free. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm restoring hope, and hope is going to help you break those bondages of limitation. I'm going to help take you from where you're at and bring you back, and it's going to be bigger and better. The next temple that you build, when you rebuild it and after you've lost it all, it will be bigger and it will be better. Because the latter will always be greater than the former in God's eyes. The good old days do not exist in kingdom thinking. They exist in a worldly way, absent of God type thinking. Because the good days are always ahead, because God's mercy is new every morning. His grace is new every morning. And so every day should be a better day than yesterday. As for you also, because of this relationship, I will set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Ever felt like you were in a waterless pit? Not only are you in a pit, not only is your life feels like hell in a handbag, so to speak, but you're in a waterless pit to top it off. Like if you were in a pit, there was some water. I mean, you're good for a little bit, right? But you're in a that's what they felt like. Abandoned, rejected, lost all their livelihood, hopelessness. Hope had lost them, but God was restoring it because of the relationship. I'm going to set you free from this space of dry wilderness. Verse 12, return to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today I declare that I will restore double to you. I love that, prisoners of hope. God wants to make you chained to hope before you leave today. He wants to put a ball and chain of hope. So wherever you walk, people are like, man, that guy's got hope. I see it. It's loud. It looks like something. He's walking with hope. You can tell that he's walking different, but he has hope. It's attractive because hope is the offspring of faith. Right? Hope is a reflection of faith, a prisoner of hope. This is what's going to develop our perseverance. It's going to develop our pursuit. Hope is what keeps us understanding the value of community. If I've lost hope, the first thing I want to do is disconnect from those that will give me hope when I don't have it. Right? That's why this is really important. That's why launching connect groups today, sign-ups over the next 3 weeks, get into a connect group, get hope, because sometimes hope is directly connected to relationship and we don't even realize it until we're in it. But we go through a hard time, and the first thing we want to do is disconnect ourselves. We want to have the appearance of connection, but in our heart, we're disconnected. I've been doing this over and over again. My wife reminded me of it, is that in my car, we have this, I often charge my phone in the car because, if you have an old generation of the iPhone, they've purposely allowed the battery to be really weak so that you upgrade to the new phone. So my battery's always dying constantly over and over again. And all you Android people, don't say, "See, told you so," because it just motivates me. So my battery died one day. And I realized maybe it was because I kept my battery plugged in. Maybe it's not, I don't know. But I started taking my charger, my car out every time I leave the car. But I'll forget that it's not in the charger. I'll forget that it's not plugged in. So what I'll do is I'll get in my car and I'll connect my phone, which is almost dead. I'll connect it to the charger. But because I can't see that it's not plugged in because it's in the armrest, I forget to plug it in. It's kind of the picture of a lot of our lives. We look connected, but we're still empty, and we're not charging because you forgot the most important part of the equation. It's to plug it into the power source. So I get to my destination, my phone's still dead, unrecharged, no life left, but wait a minute, I had the appearance of I was connected. See, you can be connected, you can look like you're connected, but not be plugged in. And you wonder why you're on this spiral of relational void, relational deficit, the spiral of hopelessness. You're good for a season, you're bad. Maybe, just maybe, you've lost the consistency of relationship in that part. That's going to help you have hope when you don't have hope. And not only is connection just enough, it's being plugged in to the power source of God that comes through community and connection. Power of connection, it's a huge. Proverbs 18 verse 1 says this: whoever pulls away from others to focus solely on his own desires disregards any sense of sound judgment. Connected but not plugged in. Going through a hard time, hopelessness, you want to pull away. But it actually is the worst thing that you can do. The best thing you can do when you're feeling that way is to plug yourself in even tighter. Even tighter. I said this other day, I was praying and I heard this phrase from God. A bad connection is better than no connection. Because even when there's a bad connection, there's still jolts of power coming to me. When there's no connection, guess what? There's no connection. I'd rather have a bad connection and get a little bit of juice than no connection. Community, value, hope will help us in this process. Number 2, write this down. Hope will hide you. Hope will hide you. Zechariah 9 verse 11 to 12. As for you also, because of your relationship, I will set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Now listen to this. Return to the stronghold, the place of safety. The place of safety. There was always a huge focus on community throughout the whole process of the nation of Israel. I mean, the nation of Israel, they had community like no other, to be honest. I mean, when you're setting up and tearing down camp for 40 years at a new place with a new challenge, really a new opportunity, you can either hold on to each other or you can say, you know what, I'm out, I'm going back to Egypt. Even though I'm so far gone now, I can't even find my way back home, back to where I was. But we try to disconnect. And hope will hide us in moments of hopelessness if we allow it, if we can return to those places of safety. Like I said earlier, like relationship, community, spiritual community, whatever your community looks like, find that place of refuge, but also the stronghold, the place of refuge that you find with and in your relationship with God. Because you see, Israel had lost their place of refuge. They lost their stronghold. And so even in the time of 70 years of captivity, they had to reconfigure what that place of refuge would look like in their relationship with God. It had a new context. Every new season, by the way, has a new context. Every new season. You cannot do what you did in the last season to survive in the season you're in right now. You cannot, God is not waiting for you to repeat principles and methodology that worked for you 10 years ago to work for you now. He's always doing a new thing, and he's always doing a new thing to get you to keep you trusting in him and not trusting in your methods that used to work. So what used to be good for you, it's like going to the gym. You can't do the same routine all the time for a straight year and expect better results. That's called insanity. And it's not the workout program I'm talking about. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It doesn't make any sense. But understanding what we're called to do, understanding this place of safety, which really is, I believe, the substance. It's the Hebrews 11 verse 1. Faith is the substance. Faith is the substance. That word substance, if you were here in the first week, we broke it down as the word hypostasis, and it literally means the standing under of a legal agreement by God that you have his warranty plan in place. It's the umbrella that protects you from the storm, that doesn't allow you to get wet. It's that thing, that promise that you stand under. Faith is the substance. It's the thing that you stand under. It's what hides you when the storms of life are trying to get on you and mess up your spiritual makeup that you put so much effort into doing before you came to church on Sunday morning. It hides you and protects you from all the weather and the conditions and the external forces that are out to be adverse against you, to take you out. Hope will hide you in this place. Within every mystery there is hope, if we can choose to search it out and find it. Number 3, write this down. Number 3, hope will hold you. It will hold you when it's rocky. Kind of like I'm piggybacking on every point here. It will hold you. Listen to this. As for you also, let's start actually in verse 12 of chapter 9 of Zechariah. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. I want hope to hold you. I want hope to have you. Like a prisoner, I want you to be chained with hope. There's something on you. There's something about you because you understand the covenant that I have with you, because I've cut this covenant that cannot be broken. There is this ball and chain of hope that I've reestablished in you and on you to make it through. So when you're rebuilding that temple and rebuilding the lives that you lost, you don't give up. Because if you hope, you'll love. And if you love, you'll mature in the process. And all of that is energized by this thing we call faith. I hope you're catching the spirit of what I believe God wants to say to you this morning. Hope will hold you even when it's rocky. Verse 12, return to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. I heard the statement, what we really believe about him becomes evident in trial. Isn't that powerful? What we really believe about God becomes evident in trial. I know whenever I go through something and I'm like being pushed down and I'm being discouraged and I'm disappointed, I have to think about, okay, like what am I really made of right now? I talk about faith. I talk about how faith is not a feeling. And sometimes my feelings can begin to manipulate me. Anybody ever have that happen? Your feelings begin to manipulate you. Your feelings begin to direct you. Your feelings begin to govern you. Your feelings begin to tell you to do this and do that instead of the state of being called faith that we're called to live with and by in life. And I have to remind myself, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I talk about this. It's not a feeling. I don't feel it right now. And so what am I really made of? Because this trial is so big, it's testing me. But it's actually proving in me the gold that's already inside of me. This trial is just purging, it's purifying this gold that we call faith, that Peter calls faith, that it proves your faith genuine when you're tested with all kinds of trials. It proves your faith genuine like gold. It removes all the dross, all the sticky stuff, all the gross stuff, the dirt, the impurities, and it makes it real for you. It makes it real. It makes it real. Hope will hold you. Hope will hold you. I love it. It will hold you to it. And I was thinking about like how if hope is holding us, then one of the number one things that it's holding us to is the waiting game. It's the waiting game. You feel like you're in the waiting game. I'm in a waiting game. I have things that I'm believing God for that haven't happened yet. So do you. You have things that you're believing to happen by somebody in your life that haven't happened yet. You're in a waiting game. You're waiting for a promotion. You're waiting for some sort of breaking out or breakthrough in your life. You're waiting for some sort of financial thing. You're waiting for this new job opportunity. You're waiting for a relationship, a marriage, a daughter, whatever, a son. You know, you're waiting. Every one of us has a waiting game going on. Don't agree too much because we all know you do. We all do. I do. I do major stuff. Waiting game. I'm in the waiting room, constantly waiting, getting antsy. Like, come on, getting annoyed. God, I don't want to. My butt is hurting sitting in the waiting room. When's the doctor gonna call me for my appointment? Why is my doctor always late? But he's just on time. Because see, God knows what's the better part for you always. God knows what's best for you. He knows he has a timing that we have no paradigm for. We need patience in the waiting. I've been asking my son Ezekiel to pray for me every night because he's been saying these profound things, not only just through prayer, but just randomly. He's 4 years old. One of my messages 2 weeks ago was built all around a thing he said to me that really rocked my world. And the other night, he asked him to pray for me because I'm always looking for, what are you going to say now, 4-year-old son? Like, God speak through him, And he told me, he put his hand on my head and he prayed for me. He's like, I pray, God, that, in his own words, he said, I pray, God, that daddy would be more patient. And then I stopped him. I interrupted his prayer. I looked at him, what did you just say? He's like, Daddy, you need to be more patient. That's what he told me. I'm like so convicted. Those are the moments where you're just like, oh, because you know so much about, all the spiritual stuff now. They're going to have to, am I going to cause my kids to have to go through major counseling? They're like pastor's kids. Like, am I representing you right? I'm always wondering that. You know what I mean? I'm just being real and honest with you. I'm always wondering that I totally felt like, I suck as a dad. I mean, I'm going through that all the time. I'm like, no, I command you, devil, to shut up. I'm a good dad. I'm like wrestling with these thoughts, these lies that try to tell me, you're never going to, your kid's not going to even love God, And how many go through that sometimes? I'm speaking to the parents right now. So he prays this prayer. He's like, Daddy, but he stopped and then he shifted the prayer from like praying to commanding. Daddy, you need to be more patient. And I thought about it. It is like, when I've lost my hope in an area, I'm way less patient. There's areas of my life where I know, man, I am really impatient. It's because I've misdirected the hope. I have a new context right now, and I'm not applying the hope that is energized through faith in this context, and so I'm impatient. Anybody can relate to that? Because if hope holds you, patience will be the number one thing that controls you and walks and leads you and allows you to believe God for what he has for you. It's like the enduring side of faith. Faith that endures, love that endures is like the patient, ongoing process of mystery, things you don't understand, you're waiting for, you're believing for. It's what's maturing you the most. It's like we see in 1 Corinthians 13:7 how love endures all things. It's so easy to share these verses. Love endures all things. What does it mean to endure? It means to hold on. It means to bear up with. It means to have the weight of waiting on you, enduring the process. Not only will hope hold you accountable to the waiting game in the midst of maturity or midst of mystery, hope will also heal you. It will heal you. Look at the last part of this passage. We're almost done. This is my last point. I want to read it all over again to you. Can I do that? As for you also, because of the relationship, because of the blood of your covenant, I will set your prisoners free from the dry places, the waterless pits, the hopelessness, the discouragement. Verse 12, return to the place of safety, the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today I declare that I will, listen to this promise. When hope has you, listen to the promise. I will restore double to you. If you hold on to hope, if hope has a hold on you, if hope has you, you will mature through mystery, and when you mature through mystery, you'll set yourself up for the double. What does that mean? It's called redemption. It's called better than restoration. It's called giving you more than you ever lost or ever had. If hope is in your equation, if you don't let hope escape from you and you keep allowing faith to be the starting point for it, guess what will happen? You'll mature to a place. Well, not only will you get back what you lost, you'll get back more than you lost. That's the redemptive nature of God. You lost something recently. How many lost something recently? I believe this is your portion today. Hey, I'm believing that not only what I lost am I going to get back, I'm going to get back double. Because Romans 8:28 says, we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. You hear that? God causes everything to work for the good. The bad for the good. The evil for the good. The struggle for the good. Are you hearing this? If God is in the equation and hope is present and it has you, all the stuff that sucks right now is going to get good for you. And it's going to be something that shapes you and gives to you and restores double. Double for all your trouble. In the prophetic picture in Isaiah 61 of Jesus, the Messiah, and what he was called to do, this scripture that he pronounced in the Gospel of Luke in the temple, where he said, the Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me to preach the good news. Listen to what it says in verse 7. As part of this promise, instead of your shame, you shall have what? You hearing that? You seeing this? Double. Instead of the crap, instead of the stuff, if you trust God, if you have hope, you keep hope. Instead of the shame, the condemnation, the struggle, you'll have double honor. You had a little bit of honor. You had honor, but you'll have double. Because when I step into any equation, I replace what is with something better. Let that hit you in the chest. Instead of your shame, you shall have double honor. Instead of confusion, how many have felt confusion in the last season? Instead of confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Listen to this. Therefore, in their land, they shall what? Possess double. Joy will be theirs. What is hope? It's this joyful what? Anticipation. Joy as a result of hope. But guess what? The double for all your trouble. See it through scripture, through a whole bunch of places. What happened when Elisha, story of Elisha and Elijah. Elisha had a loss, right? Remember the loss that Elisha had? He had a mentor named Elijah. Loved this guy with everything, called him father. He was a spiritual father to him. He had a loss. God took Elijah up away from Elisha. Elisha cries out, Father, Father. And what happens when God took Elijah up? What happened was a mantle was left for Elisha, and it was a double portion of what Elijah had. Double. For your loss, God's giving you double. You hearing this? What you've lost, God's giving you double. Because hope has you. And when hope has you, you mature through what you don't understand. Elisha's like, Father, Father, I don't understand, but I see what I'm getting from what I don't understand. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. When I don't understand you leaving me, I don't understand why this happened to me. I don't get why I lost you and this, and I lost all of this, and I had all of this, and I lost it. But what I do understand is when I don't understand, I'm picking up this mantle. And it's double for all my trouble. It's double. Job. Think about Job. You guys know the story of Job? Job, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. Job lived in mystery. Yet it says that Job did not sin with his lips. He did not, even in the midst of it, everything was taken away from Job. Job lived a literal hell. He had it all. He was the man, he was righteous, he had it all. He was wealthy, the most wealthy. I mean, he had it all. Job is the oldest book in the Bible. This book of Job is one of the most mysterious books, but Job lost it all. And it wasn't until the very end, you see, something had him the whole time. Even though it didn't make sense. He was covered in boils. He was lost all of his family, lost everything, lost all of his wealth. Everything was burned down, just literally lost everything. Had 3 really annoying friends, only one really good friend who was giving him good advice. And everyone was harassing him. And something inside of him, he noticed that along the journey, even though I don't understand, even though I'm fighting sometimes, even though I see this ball and chain of hope on me. And so I'm going to remind myself that if God brought me to it, he will always bring me through it. And even though it doesn't make sense, I'm growing up in what I don't understand. I'm growing up in the midst of mystery. At the very end of Job's life, you know what happened to him? He got double for his trouble. Literally, he got more. He got way more than he ever had before because he made it through, because hope had a hold on him.